G'day friends and welcome to another one of my videos. Now today we're talking about the Blackmagic camera and my workflow for setting it up as a very good studio camera. Now I used it in my last video and it's amazing. I had to remove it from the setup today to record this video and I'm already missing its functionality. So if you want to find out how I get my studio recordings done on the Blackmagic, well then stick around. And welcome back. Now we're back in the studio today and we are talking tech. I got the glasses on so I can see what the heck is going on. And I've got all my cameras set up. So I've got this one, which is facing me. That's my main camera. And then I got camera number 2, which is this little guy down here pointing at my table. So it's just a little setup. So I did have to reorganize my view of things so I can show you what's going on and all the different parts that I'll be using. But how do I feel about the Blackmagic already after having it, 8 months, 9 months or so? Now, the more I use it, the more I learn about it, the more I am falling in love with this camera. I know it's not the prettiest thing in the world and it is a bit of a wobbly goblin. Obviously, from an ergonomics perspective, it makes a lot of sense if you're going to be using it like this. But the minute that you start trying to handle it in any different way, whether it's on a stand or you're carrying it outside and trying to do some, some outdoor footage, then it becomes a bit of a pain. Now, I've got a little bit of a change of setup today. I'm using my little Sony RX miniature cameras. So you'll notice the difference straight away from the video I did yesterday to the video I did today about the quality of the sensor. Now the sensor on the Sonys is a 1-inch sensor while it's a micro 4/3 in this guy, but it's all about the lens aperture. Now I've got an f4 on these Sonys, but this guy, and I'll talk to you about the lens that I'm using in a minute, can be open to 1.7, so which is an amazing aperture when it comes to letting light in. So let's talk about, first of all, what I'm using the camera for and the decision that I've made about the Blackmagic. Now, over the last 9 months, as I've been getting to know this camera and I've been sort of finding out about its features and why they're there and how to use them, I'm becoming more and more in love with the functionality of this device. Yes, I know a lot of people rave about the quality of the video and the Blackmagic RAW and all the editing. Yes, I'm definitely in love with that. And I can immediately see the differences from the video I did yesterday to the one I'm doing today. I'm using my Sony cameras today, my little RX miniature cameras, and they're great as far as recording sort of this type of live video. But if you want to do something a little bit quality, you can't beat the micro 4/3 sensor that's in this camera as opposed to the 1-inch sensor in these little Sony cameras. So how do I get the setup complete to the level where I want? Now, by no means is this a professional setup. Obviously, I'm trying to purchase bits and pieces at a time to complete the kit. But for the moment, I am doing the best I can with what I've already got. So let's go through the bits and pieces that I've actually collected in order to get this device working for me the way it is. Now, it is a studio setup. If I wanted to use this outdoors, obviously it's a different kit. Caleb Pike does a really good video on setting up the Blackmagic on a cage so you can use it outdoors, and I'll put a link to that video in the description below. But if indoors is sort of what I'm sort of focusing on today. So the first thing I had to figure out is how am I going to mount this particular device? Now, I could have put a tripod behind my desk and sort of put the camera on the tripod, but unfortunately I do not have enough space behind my desk for me to do that. So I went and bought a really good clamp and these rods that have the right connector to place a ball head on top. And these guys are called 9 Solutions. They're beautiful and very sturdy aluminium rods, and they make a big bunch of clamps and things like that, and I love them. I've got a couple of them already, and that's what I use to put that behind my desk. Actually, it's clamped to the back of the monitor stands that I'm using on the desk. Now, on top of that, what I've got is this particular ball head from Surui. Now, this guy is great because it's got a quick release plate on the top. It's Arc Swiss. And then what I do is just, I can put in the camera on and off very easily. Doesn't come off when it's there. And then I can press the button and release it, which is really helpful. It's got a couple of different ways to actually position the Blackmagic on there, and I have it with a little bit of an angle because I've got it elevated and looking down at me the way I've got this camera. And this is a pretty sturdy let's say ball head, and the great thing about this one is that I can just unscrew it and then use it on the tripod, and that's really good for me because that means I don't have to remove the plate from the bottom of the Blackmagic cinema camera. I can just leave it there. I don't like to play around with it too much. As you know, this guy is a bit of a wobbly goblin, right? It's always going here, there, and everywhere. So that's how I mount it in the back of the table, facing me, ready to record at any time. Now, the next thing that you're going to have to get your hands on in order to improve the video quality or the recording quality in studio is sound. As you know, if you've seen my previous videos, I've got a bunch of mics and the Rode Procaster, which really helps me record video such as this. But I don't want to go through that setup. Like yesterday when I recorded my previous video, it was turned all devices, hit record, and off I went. And that's how quickly I want to be able to operate. Now, obviously this kit is beautiful and I'm using it today, but I want to have the choice of when to use it and when not to use it. So what I've done with the Blackmagic is I am currently using this Rode NTG1. Now, it is not an amazing mic. It has a lot of cons as well as pros. But when you've got a room such as mine that's been, I guess, noise treated, and you're pretty happy with the quality, you can really get some really amazing sound recordings from it. Now, that is the mic that I'm currently using. And I did get it because it's very economical. It's probably one of the cheapest Rode shotgun mics that I can get my hands on. And so obviously I'm on a budget, so I have to watch what I buy. Now with that, you have to buy the next bit of device, which is the XLR mic adapter, so you can plug this directly into your Blackmagic camera. So it goes right in there. It's a mini XLR port that goes into the camera on the side of the camera, and it's right there. So it's very handy. And on the other side, obviously, you plug it straight into the device. Now, one of the things I want you to watch out for is that the Blackmagic camera doesn't have a hot shoe or a cold shoe on top of the camera. It just comes with this 3/4 inch thread. And unfortunately, most mic, I guess, holders don't come with a way to put that there. So you could either use something like a arm, like this one, or a shorter one on top to keep your mic in place. That's one option that you've got. Or you can buy little adapters like this one, which I got from Small Rig. So you just screw that on the top there. It's got the broader adapter on the other side, and then I just use that directly on top of the camera, which is quite handy, right? So that's one thing that I'm actually using in order to get the right sound. So now, Power is an issue. So I have the Pocket Cinema camera plugged directly into its mains, power. So I just use the one that came with Blackmagic. I have the cable running behind the desk onto a power bank, and then it's sort of powering the camera full term. Now that is how I'm sort of basically setting it up for sound, power. But then the last thing that you are definitely going to have to consider is the way that you monitor it, because I normally have it running from the HDMI port on the camera straight into my A10 Mini Pro, and I can use the A10 Mini to monitor the video. But unfortunately, the A10 doesn't give you anything to monitor the brightness. It doesn't give you anything to monitor whether you got, for zebras or anything like that. So my recommendation is that you get yourself a monitor for this device. Now, what I've done in the past is I've purchased a Ninja 5 from Atomos, and this is an amazing little device that I use it for multiple things, and it's constantly being upgraded as far as firmware is concerned. And I love using it for two reasons. First of all, obviously the monitoring side of it. It's great to have it available to see, how your exposure is, and you can even put a LUT on there to see, how it's going to turn out post-production. But the other thing that it's really useful for is that it serves as a backup recording device. Now, it's got me out of trouble on a couple of occasions, so it's really good to know. Like, as you know, the Ninja comes with its own hard drive, and it records whatever is coming from the Blackmagic in RAW. And it's very, very helpful. And like I said, it has got me out of trouble in the past. And the good thing about it is that they're both synced. And so when you hit record on the camera, it will automatically set the record on the Ninja. And that way I can always have a very good backup device. So that's the other must-have. Now, if you can't afford the Ninja, obviously it's a bit of an investment. There are cheaper monitors you can get your hands on in order to do the same thing, minus the recording. Now, I'll put a link up here to the Field World monitor review that I did, and that is a really good complementary monitor for the Blackmagic as well. So you can get a lot out of that particular monitor without having the recording, obviously, but at least you can have a really good view of what you're recording in studio. So lucky last, one of the things that you really can't do without, and I am going to tell you that this is a lifesaver, it is the Blackmagic app on your mobile device. Now, I've got it loaded on my mobile when I'm out and about, but I've also got it loaded on my iPad mini, which is really, really handy in studio. Now, what I use it for? Well, it connects directly to the Blackmagic using Bluetooth. And it stays connected when you turn it off, and then you turn it back on. It reconnects automatically and leaves off where you last set it. Now, one of the things that is invaluable is the focus feature on the app. So what I do is I set myself up, and then if you want to use a shallow aperture, obviously a shallow depth of field, you need to make sure that you get the focus right. And I used it on the previous video, and all I did was go on the app, set myself in the position where I'm going to be recording myself, and then I autofocus or hit the focus button so it sets the focus. And from then on, depending on how shallow your depth of field is, you can move, back and forwards to a certain degree, and you'll still be in a really good focus. And then obviously I'm monitoring it because I'm using, the color monitoring for focus on the Atomos, so I know when I'm in and out of focus. So it's a very handy device. Now, I'll just throw in one little tidbit. Obviously, you need to make sure that you have a decent HDMI cable if you're going to use the Atomos to monitor. And the reason I sort of invested in a decent quality HDMI monitor is so you can get that really good quality transfer between the two devices, and you don't miss out on any other quality. And obviously, I think I've already mentioned in my previous Blackmagic video what I really use. And obviously, don't forget hard drives, external ones, because the internal ones are really expensive, and the SD cards don't really do 4K really well. And then don't forget your little passport that will help you grade your footage after the fact. And I've also done a color grading video on how to create a LUT for your device on that. So that's it. That's how I've got my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera set up in the studio. Hopefully there wasn't too much rambling on, but I'm really, really enjoying using it. And I think now that I've learned a lot of its tidbits on the quality of the recording and the color grading and the raw quality, it's become a really essential tool, and it sort of like lifts up, the level of recording that I'll be doing from now on. If you have a Blackmagic yourself, let me know how you're going. Leave some comments below. I want to know whether you've been using it for other creative things other than just using it internal in the studio like I am. I'm playing it safe for now. Hopefully one day in the future, I'll be able to put a rig together so I can take it outdoors. But for the moment, what I can afford is doing its job really well. So thank you very much for watching the video. Hopefully you stayed here all the way till the end. I really love making these videos for you. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. And until the next time, stay safe and ciao for now.